Are you ready for the absolute insanity that just broke the internet? Because I'm not sure anyone was prepared for the radioactive fallout of Megan Thee Stallion finally reaching her breaking point. We've seen the cheating diary, we've seen the playing house betrayals, and we've seen the WNBA rumors that made everyone's head spin. But what if I told you that the real dagger didn't come from Klay Thompson himself? What if the true betrayal, the one that caused Megan to absolutely erupt in a way that's currently shaking the foundations of the NBA and the music industry combined, came from Klay's own bloodline? We are talking about a family dynamic so toxic it makes a Greek tragedy look like a Disney sitcom. Why was Klay's family allegedly moving like a tactical recovery unit the second the bedroom door closed? Why are there reports of legal notices being served before the tears were even dry? And most importantly, what did the Thompson inner circle do behind Megan's back that has her ready to burn the whole kingdom down? Put your seatbelts on, because we are diving deep into the messy, expensive, and outright cold-blooded moves that have turned this breakup into an all-out war. You might want to grab a snack, because the tea isn't just hot, it's boiling over. The situation with Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion has officially transitioned from a messy celebrity breakup into a full-blown investigation into how one of the NBA's most beloved figures became the face of a psychological thriller. We all knew things were shaky when Megan jumped online to expose Klay for his lack of monogamy, but nobody could have predicted that the rabbit hole went this deep. For months, we watched them playing house, with Megan cooking for his family and behaving like the ultimate supportive partner while Klay was recovering from his injuries. It felt like a rare moment of stability in the chaotic world of hip-hop and sports romances. But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold, and in this case, the gold was actually just cheap spray paint over a mountain of lies. To understand why Megan is erupting right now, we have to look back at the track record of a man who managed to hide a womanizing addiction behind a shy, light-skinned exterior, and a couple of championship rings. People always wondered why a 36-year-old man was so obsessed with making paper airplanes and acting like a literal child on national television, and now the answer is staring us in the face. It wasn't just quirkiness. It was a carefully constructed mask designed to hide the fact that he was allegedly leading a double, triple, and maybe even quadruple life, while Megan was at home thinking she was building a future with a gentleman. The betrayal becomes even more sinister when you realize that Megan wasn't just dealing with a cheating boyfriend, she was dealing with a man who was documenting his transgressions like he was writing a screenplay for a dark HBO drama. When those diary entries from 2019 resurfaced on Lipstick Alley, the world finally got a glimpse into the mind of someone who described his sex life as the most savage aspect of his existence. Imagine being Megan and finding out that the man you are holding down through his darkest professional moments views women as nothing more than championship rings to be collected in every city nationwide. It is a level of narcissism that borders on the pathological. And while the public was busy debating whether Lexi Brown or Angel Reese was the other woman, the real scandal was brewing within the Thompson household itself. We are talking about a family that welcomed Megan into their inner circle, sat at her table, and watched her invest her time and emotions into their son, all while knowing exactly who he was. The eruption we are seeing from Megan isn't just about a straying man, it's about the realization that she was being gaslit by an entire institution. What's even more wild is the reaction from the peanut gallery of industry men who have decided that Klay is the victim in all of this. You have DJ academics and Lil Duval out here celebrating Klay like he just won a fifth ring for his ability to manipulate a woman. They are claiming that Megan puts every man she's with through hell, citing the Tory Lanez situation, as if being shot in the foot is somehow the woman's fault. It is the peak of industry misogyny to see men standing in solidarity with a cheater simply because the woman involved is successful and outspoken. Even Lil Duval had the audacity to call Klay a real ninja for allegedly cheating just so Megan would break up with him. It's a cowardly tactic that shows the lack of emotional intelligence in these circles. But while these stooges are laughing it up on social media, Meghan is dealing with the legal and financial reality of a split that is starting to look like a high-stakes divorce. There are reports circulating that Klay didn't just walk away, he allegedly went on a mission to reclaim every single asset he ever touched, including the gifts he gave Meghan under the guise of love. The most shocking part of this investigative deep dive into their fallout involves the suspicious timing of certain legal filings. Rumor has it that Klay's family, led by his inner circle of advisors and relatives, had already begun the process of separating Meghan from Klay's estate weeks before the public even knew there was a problem. We are talking about a strategic strike that would make a corporate raider blush. Sources are claiming that while Meghan was busy rehearsing for her performances and trying to save her relationship, the Thompson camp was busy changing locks, moving titles, and ensuring that Meghan would be left with nothing but the clothes on her back and a broken heart. The level of cold-blooded calculation required to let a woman think she's in a committed partnership while you're secretly filing paperwork to evict her from the life you built together is almost beyond comprehension. Meghan's eruption is the sound of a woman who has finally seen behind the curtain of the NBA's golden boy and realized that the person she loved was a fictional character. As the news continues to break, the public is starting to see the cracks in the narrative that Klay was just a quiet, laid-back guy who liked his dogs and his boat. The reality is that he was allegedly a master of deception, supported by a family that was more than happy to help him maintain his image while he treated Meghan like a temporary fixture. We've seen the lists of women he's been linked to: Hannah Stocking, Laura Harrier, Abigail Ratchford, and the pattern is clear. Klay has a very specific type, and many are saying that Meghan was never intended to be anything more than a PR stunt, or a temporary distraction from his usual roster. This makes the betrayal even more personal, because it suggests that Meghan was being used for her star power and her loyalty while being excluded from the long-term plan. When Meghan talks about playing house, she's talking about the domestic dream that was sold to her by a man who already had one foot out the door and a notebook full of other options. The fallout is now reaching a fever pitch as more anonymous sources step forward with details about what really happened behind closed doors. We are hearing stories about screaming matches over financial documents, and Meghan discovering that the house they allegedly bought together was actually never in her name at all. If the reports are true, Klay and his family orchestrated a situation where Meghan was contributing her time, her energy, and even her own money into a property that she had zero legal claim to. It's a classic move used by the wealthy to exploit those who lead with their hearts instead of their lawyers. The irony of Klay Thompson being worried about Meghan wanting $700,000 a month is not lost on anyone when you realize he's the one allegedly trying to claw back a birthday gift. The level of pettiness is astronomical, and it's no wonder Meghan is currently on a warpath to reclaim her narrative and her dignity from a group of people who clearly never valued her to begin with. This isn't just about a rapper and a basketball player anymore. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of the playing house trap. Meghan is exposing the reality that even the most successful women can be blindsided by a man who uses his family as a shield and his public image as a weapon. As she pivots from heartbreak to total eruption, the industry is holding its breath to see what receipts she drops next. Because if we know anything about Megan Thee Stallion, it's that she doesn't go down without a fight, and she certainly doesn't let anyone get the last word when it comes to her life and her legacy. The Thompson family might think they've won this round by securing the assets, but they've lost something far more valuable: the trust of a public that is finally waking up to the truth about their golden boy. And as we move into the next phase of this scandal, the question isn't just about who Klay was cheating with, but how many people were in on the lie from the very beginning. The web of deception is unraveling, and the next set of revelations is guaranteed to be even more explosive than the last, as we look closer at the specific moves Klay's family made to ensure Meghan was silenced and sidelined while they protected their favorite son's reputation and bank account. The transition from the first part of this scandal into the second is where things get truly dark, because we are no longer just talking about broken hearts and leaked diaries. We are talking about the cold, hard mechanics of a family-run business that decided Megan Thee Stallion was a liability that needed to be liquidated. According to those deep cover sources within the circle, the moment Megan started asking questions about Klay's suspicious late-night activities and that marble notebook, the Thompson family reportedly went into full defensive mode. It wasn't just Klay making decisions anymore, it was a coordinated effort to protect the brand at any cost. Imagine the scene where Megan is trying to have a serious conversation about fidelity and respect, while in the background, a legal team is already drafting papers to ensure she doesn't get a single dime or a single brick from the life they were supposedly building together. The level of premeditation here is what has Megan erupting with a fury we haven't seen before. She realized that while she was being a partner, they were being prosecutors. The details coming out about the property they shared are particularly sickening if you value any sense of fairness. Reports are circulating that Megan was led to believe that the multi-million-dollar mansion they occupied was a joint investment, a sanctuary for their future family. But as the investigation into their split deepens, leaked documents suggest that the deed was cleverly structured to keep Megan completely off the paperwork. This is the ultimate playing house trap. You spend your own money on interior design, you bring your own staff in, you make it a home, and then you find out you're essentially a guest with no rights. Megan's eruption allegedly reached its peak when she found out that Klay's family had been advising him on how to legally ghost her out of her own living situation. It's one thing to be cheated on by a man who can't stay within the margins of college-ruled paper, but it's another thing to be systematically erased from your own life by his parents and siblings. And let's talk about that blue Bentley because the pettiness levels have officially exited the stratosphere. It was supposed to be a 31st birthday gift, a symbol of luxury and devotion. But now, sources are claiming that Klay, with the full backing of his family's legal advisors, has reclaimed the vehicle because the title was never actually signed over to Megan. The audacity to give a gift and keep the receipt in your pocket, just in case you decide to be unfaithful later, is a level of broke boy behavior that no amount of NBA salary can hide. There are even whispers that the Thompson camp is trying to bill Megan for a minor scratch on the bumper that happened during the breakup week. They are literally nickel and diming a woman who is worth millions herself, just to prove a point. It's not about the money for them, it's about the power. They want to humiliate her. They want to make her feel like she was just another girl on the roster, despite the fact that she was the only one who actually showed up for him during his worst times. The social media fallout has only added fuel to the fire, with the Thompson family's silence speaking louder than any statement could. While Megan is out here speaking her truth and ending things with clarity and peace, the other side is allegedly working the phones with bloggers and insiders to paint a picture of Megan as the aggressor. This is the classic playbook used against strong black women in the industry. They want you to believe that Megan was too demanding, that her mood swings were the reason Klay had to seek comfort in the arms of WNBA players and Instagram models. They want to use her success and her bold personality against her, suggesting that a real man like Klay couldn't handle a woman who doesn't need his money. It's a narrative that is being swallowed whole by people like DJ academics, who are more than happy to spread the gospel of misogyny if it means taking a shot at a powerful woman. But wait, there's a deeper layer to the investigation that involves the family business side of the NBA. Rumor has it that Klay's family was worried about the Stallion effect on his career and his brand deals. They saw Megan's massive cultural influence and were allegedly intimidated by the fact that she was becoming the more dominant figure in the relationship. When you're an NBA star, your family often relies on your image to keep the wheels turning, and they supposedly didn't like the idea of Megan having any say in how that image was managed. This split wasn't just a breakup, it was a corporate restructuring. They wanted Megan out so they could regain total control over Klay, even if it meant letting him spiral back into the lifestyle of a womanizing addict that he wrote about in his diary. They would rather have a son who is a serial cheater than a son who is controlled by a woman with her own power and her own mind. As we look at the timeline of the eruption, it's clear that Meghan discovered things that go way beyond just physical cheating. We are talking about financial discrepancies and investments Klay made behind her back that involved other women. Imagine checking the books for your joint ventures only to find out your man has been funding the lifestyle of a close friend from the WNBA or paying for the apartment of a model in another city. The investigative reports are suggesting that Klay had a whole shadow budget set up to keep his savage lifestyle afloat while Meghan was at home playing the role of the devoted wife. This is why the "playing house" comment was so stinging. It was an admission that the entire foundation of their life was a lie constructed by Klay and maintained by his inner circle. The most disturbing part of Section 2 of this scandal is the way the Thompson family allegedly handled Meghan's personal belongings. Sources say that while Meghan was out of town for a performance, her items were packed into boxes and moved into storage without her consent. It was a move designed to show her that she was replaceable, and that her presence in Klay's life could be deleted as easily as a social media post. This is the kind of behavior that drives a person to erupt. It's the lack of human decency, the lack of respect for the years spent together, and the sheer coldness of people you once considered family. Meghan isn't just mad at Klay, she's disgusted by the entire machinery that supports him. She's realizing that in that world, women are just accessories to be swapped out when the season changes. And while the public is busy arguing over whether Klay has a type, or if Meghan was a downgrade, the real tragedy is the loss of what could have been a powerful union. But the Thompson family didn't want a union, they wanted a subordinate. They didn't want a queen, they wanted a cheerleader, who would keep her mouth shut while their golden boy did whatever he wanted. The eruption we are witnessing is Meghan burning down that entire philosophy. She is showing the world that you can't treat a woman like a temporary employee and expect her to go quietly into the night. She's dropping the receipts, she's ending the relationship on her terms, and she's making sure everyone knows exactly who moved the boxes and who stole the car keys. As the investigation continues to move into the fallout and legal consequences, the tension is rising. There are whispers of a massive lawsuit brewing, not just over the property, but over the breach of trust and the potential theft of intellectual property. People forget that Meghan is a business mogul, and if Klay's camp was using her likeness or her brand to boost his own standing while they were plotting her exit, there will be hell to pay in court. The Thompson family might have thought they were protecting their son, but they might have actually just opened him up to the biggest legal battle of his life. The pivot Meghan is making right now is tactical, it's fierce, and it's about to get a whole lot more expensive for anyone with the last name Thompson, as we head into the final chapter of this systematic betrayal. The legal and social fallout of this eruption has now reached a point of no return, moving from the living room to the courtroom in a way that is about to cost the Thompson family a lot more than just a reputation. In this final chapter of the saga, we are looking at a landscape of total destruction, where the financial consequences of Klay's family-backed betrayal are starting to manifest as massive lawsuits and industry-wide boycotts. Rumor has it that Meghan's legal team has already been authorized to file a multi-million-dollar suit against Klay for what they are calling a predatory domestic arrangement. The investigation into their finances suggests that while Meghan was putting her own brand on the line to elevate Klay's popularity during his injury comeback, his family was allegedly diverting funds from their joint business ventures into private accounts that Meghan couldn't touch. This isn't just a breakup anymore, this is a case of alleged white-collar domestic fraud. The tension in the air is thick because Meghan isn't just stopping at the house and the car. She is reportedly going after the intellectual property that was created during their time together. Sources say that Meghan played a massive role in Klay's recent marketing deals, acting as an uncredited creative director for his brand's latest pivots. If she can prove that her labor and her celebrity status were used under the false pretenses of a permanent partnership, Klay might find himself owing her a percentage of his future earnings for years to come. The Thompson family, who thought they were being smart by keeping her name off the house deed, might have forgotten that in the state of California, the laws around palimony and joint labor are no joke. Meghan is reportedly ready to subpoena every text message, every email, and every single entry in that infamous marble notebook to show that she was promised a life that was systematically stolen from her. Meanwhile, the public backlash against Klay is starting to hit him where it hurts most, his sponsorships. We are hearing reports that several major lifestyle brands are reconsidering their contracts with the NBA star because the nice guy image has been completely shattered. It turns out that being a real ninja who cheats on a woman and then tries to bill her for a car dent isn't a great look for corporate America. The Thompson family is reportedly in a state of panic, trying to issue hush money offers to the various women mentioned in Klay's diary, fearing that if even one more of them comes forward with a story about the family's involvement in covering up his tracks, the brand will be permanently unsalvageable. They wanted to sideline Meghan to protect their son, but they've effectively turned him into a pariah in the eyes of the very people who buy his jerseys and shoes. As the investigations continue, the rumors about Lexi Brown and Angel Reese have evolved into a broader conversation about how the WNBA is being used as a playground for Klay's savage lifestyle. While Lexi and Angel have done their best to distance themselves, the shadow of Klay's reputation is making things uncomfortable across both leagues. There are whispers of a private league-wide memo being circulated among female players to watch out for the Thompson camp's tactics. The sisterhood is closing ranks, and Meghan is at the center of that support system. Even her performance at Moulin Rouge wasn't just a show, it was a statement of independence that showed she can earn in one night what Klay's family is trying to squeeze out of her in property value. The crowd's standing ovation was a message to the Thompsons: the world stands with the stallion, not the cheater. The financial crisis within the Thompson camp is allegedly worsening because they didn't anticipate Meghan's level of transparency. They expected her to be embarrassed, to stay quiet, and to let them dictate the narrative of a mutual split. Instead, she erupted with a level of honesty that has exposed the inner workings of their family dynamic. Reports suggest that Klay's father and brothers are now fighting amongst themselves about how to handle the PR disaster, with some blaming the legal team for being too aggressive with the Bentley and the house. They realized too late that you can't treat a woman with a global platform like a local groupie. Meghan's real break is actually a tactical retreat, while her lawyers prepare a scorched earth policy that will likely lead to Klay having to sell off parts of his real estate portfolio just to settle the debts. What makes this Section 3 so incredibly dramatic is the hypothetical scenario of Klay having to testify about his own diary. Imagine a deposition where a 36-year-old professional athlete has to explain to a room full of lawyers why he was writing about his euphoric, cheating experiences in a composition notebook while his girlfriend was at home praying for his recovery. The embarrassment isn't on Meghan, it's a permanent stain on Klay's legacy that no championship ring can ever cover up. The public is already calling for him to be held accountable, and the hashtags are trending for more than just basketball highlights. This is a probe into the character of a man who many thought was the most wholesome player in the game. The mask hasn't just slipped, it has been ripped off and stomped on by the very woman he tried to play. As we reach the final fallout, the rumors of Meghan's pregnancy continue to swirl, but regardless of whether there are baby stallions on the way, the bond between her and Klay is dead and buried. If there are children involved, the legal battle will become even more legendary, as child support and custody for a man with Klay's documented history of promiscuity and insecurity would be a nightmare for his legal team. The Thompson family's attempt to protect their assets would look like child's play compared to a custody battle against a woman who has nothing to lose and everything to prove. Meghan is moving ahead with peace and clarity, but that peace is the calm before the storm for anyone who tried to exploit her. The investigation concludes with a very clear picture of who the winners and losers are. Klay Thompson might have the house, he might have the car, and he might have his savage lifestyle back, but he has lost the respect of the industry and the love of a woman who was truly in his corner. Meghan the Stallion, on the other hand, is emerging as a symbol of resilience for every woman who has ever been told she was too much, or too loud, by a man who wasn't enough. The eruption is over, but the lava is still flowing, and it is burning through every lie the Thompson family ever told. As the legal probes continue and the financial reality of this split sets in, the world is watching to see how a queen rebuilds her empire after a jester tried to steal the throne. Everything we've discussed, from the secret diary to the family's cold-blooded asset reclamation, points to a systemic issue in how powerful women are treated in these high-stakes relationships. But Meghan isn't a victim. She's a victor who decided that the cost of playing house was too high if the house was built on sand. The final consequence for Klay is the silence that follows the eruption, a silence where he is left alone with his marble notebook and his championship rings, while Meghan moves on to a life of truth, success, and actual respect. The Thompson family wanted to save their son's money, but they ended up bankrupting his soul in the process. This is the end of the road for the Meghan and Klay saga, as we know it, but the ripple effects will be felt for years. The As the Internet Turns episode has finished its season, and the ratings are in. Megan Thee Stallion is that girl, and Klay Thompson is just a man who forgot that you can't play the player when the player is a queen. As we look at the final wreckage, we see a woman who is stronger, richer, and more determined than ever, leaving the basketball court behind and heading toward a future where she never has to check the margins of a notebook ever again. So, after seeing the receipts, hearing the rumors about the family's betrayal, and watching Meghan turn a heartbreak into a massive career pivot, what is your final take on this mess? Did Klay Thompson truly fumble the greatest blessing he ever had, or was this relationship doomed from the start because of the people he surrounds himself with? Is the Thompson family the real villain of this story for trying to strip Meghan of her dignity and her gifts? And most importantly, do you think Meghan should take him for every penny he's worth in court to teach him a lesson about playing house with a superstar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because you know I'm reading every single one of them. If you want to stay updated on every single update in this legal war and see the receipts as they drop, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. We are just getting started with the truth, and you don't want to miss what comes next. Share this video with everyone who needs to know what really happened behind those closed doors. I'll see y'all in the next one. So there you have it, the absolute destruction of a relationship that had us all fooled. Megan Thee Stallion isn't just walking away, she's sprinting toward a future where she never has to settle for a man who keeps a scoreboard of his betrayals in a marble notebook. But the real question remains, can Klay Thompson ever recover his image after his family's cold-blooded tactics were exposed to the world? Or has he officially entered the Hall of Fame for the biggest fumbles in celebrity history? I want to know exactly what you think about the Thompson family moving Meghan's boxes while she was out there working. Is that protecting your own, or is that just pure, unadulterated trash behavior? And do you think Meghan should go full scorched earth in court to reclaim every bit of the life she helped build? The comment section is about to be a war zone, and I am here for all of it, so drop your receipts and your theories below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the messiest split of 2026, do me a favor and smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, because the legal filings are coming and you know I'll be the first one to break down the paperwork. Share this video with your friends who still think Klay is the quiet one, and stay tuned for the next update. I'm out, y'all. Stay woke and stay legendary.